Welcome to the Sentinel Bay. I usually don't do videos in English, but this is a special occasion and I thought it would be proper to do so because personally I am a retired YouTuber. I'm not doing reviews anymore, but this I just had to show you because we sat together with the Collector's Bay with Ace from Ramen Toy, and he brought something that I did not expect, but I'm very happy to have this. It's the test shot of the Ramen Toy Great White from their Makina Labs line. This will come out, I think, in late April or May. And this is basically more or less the finished product from the production tools. Some stuff still to tweak here, but yeah, I thought this is a good cause to come out of retirement for a short video and doing this in English also so that you guys have something to look at and to listen to and not having to bear with my German rambling. So without further ado, let's get started, and I can't spoil you a little bit. It's pretty great. Small disclaimer up front, this is, as mentioned, a test shot, meaning that it came from the actual toolings of the production run, but it is not 100% finished. As you can see, there's no paint on this thing, so no paint on the rims, no paint on the headlights, the daylights and all of that stuff. That will be included later, of course. And there are small things, small tolerance things that need to be tweaked, and they will be, but we can at least talk about all the functions, because the functions are in here and are working 100%. We can talk about the proportions. We can talk about everything that is included with this set. We get, of course, the Great White car. We get the figure of Portia White with her standard head here and a swappable masked head. Here we have two side mirrors. We have 4 of these missiles. I'm not 100% sure if there actually will be 4 of these in the set. If yes, that would be cool, because they are pretty easy to lose, as always, small little missiles. And there's a firing mechanism here, so yeah, it would be cool to have 2 spare, just in case you lose one, because you can only store 2 of these in the actual vehicle. For that, you have to push the little missile into the hole below the headlight here. It's working pretty well. The problem here is they are still unpainted, so the surface is pretty smooth, and if you don't hit the tip correctly, they might slip off your finger before they are completely inserted. You will hear a click. There you go. And then they are safe. You can store them here, and if you want to fire them, all you need to do is push on the headlight. Pretty clever stuff. And then you have a strong spring in here that really gives this missile some good velocity. So be careful, be mindful, don't shoot at anybody's eyes. Up next are the side mirrors. First of all, these are like now have a black sticker on it. I imagine that they will have a reflective sticker when they come in the final product, but I'm not 100% sure. They really improved their technique here. When we got the gull wing, we had this little rectangle shaped pin that didn't really fit properly into the door and was a bit loose here on a lot of people's vehicle. This one here is much better. We have like I would guess like a 2 or 3 millimeter pin, and with a little carving on top so that you can't put it in the wrong way. And you simply push it into the door, and this is 100% secure. So very, very well done. Very good improvement here. Then we have the figure. This is a Portia White, and as with the vehicle, we will mainly talk about her functions, because I think the impression of the figure will change when it is completely painted. Now we have only the white plastic body, of course. First of all the tolerances of the joints are very, very good. So no loose parts or anything. You have the head, which looks good, with the pretty 80s haircut here. I love it. And the head doesn't go up due to the hair, but it goes down a little bit. You can rotate it side to side a little bit. So yeah, good enough for me. You have the shoulder joint over 90 degrees out, 360 around. You have a swivel at the elbow so that you can swivel the lower arm here. And yeah, you have the elbow joint, which is not 90 degrees, but close enough for a figure of this size. Nothing at the hand, of course, but I wouldn't expect that at all. We have the rotation at the torso, which works very well. The leg goes up here and back, not that much, but I think it is enough for most poses. And you can get a split maybe this far. I wouldn't push it too hard because very small. We have very small ball packs here, so don't stress the material too much. I think this is fair. It's not great, but it is fair, and I think for a figure of this size should be more than enough. We have a 90-degree knee joint to close it up. So as the M.A.S.K figure was, this is a very well articulated figure, a really big improvement, but still in scale with the vintage stuff. And there's one feature, of course, left. We have her helmet. And unlike the classic vintage stuff, and also with M.A.S.K, we don't have a helmet to put on her head. This is due to the hair. They wanted to do the hair as properly and as accurate as possible. So I think they did the right thing here and making a swap out head. So you can just take this off and put this on and have her wearing her helmet, which looks very cartoon accurate. I really love it. Even with like this little small pipes here, this looks great, really good. And if they wouldn't have done it this way, the helmet would be completely off look wise. So or they would have yeah, they needed to have the hair shortened or whatever. So I'm 100% satisfied with this solution. There's no more articulation with the helmet on, which is a bit of a pity, but not the biggest deal in the world. I think I can work with that. Just be mindful with these. I think these might be able to damage if you are not. Might be prone to damage if you're not careful, but I think this works very well. And what I really like about this, you don't see anything of the joint system, so you can still have her carry the helmet under her arm. A feature that I like. I don't know if they can make this happen now in this. Yeah, you can have this, which I really liked. A feature that the original figures never had, but I really would have liked to have as a kid. And now this works even with the swap out feature. So pretty well done figure. And there we have the actual vehicle, the Great White. And I think they did an awesome job here. I love the proportions on this thing. It's very realistic car. I love it, especially the size of the wheels compared to the rest of the vehicle, the length and everything. This looks absolutely spot on. And there are so many small details in the molding that I really love. There's some stuff like you can see the glue residue here of all of that will be painted, so no worries about that, as will be the rims. But there's small stuff like we have the double exhaust pipes here. You have this molded bumper that goes all around the car, over the side of the door and all that. Very nice. I'm pretty sure that there will be some sort of printed or sticker detail on the license plate here. And then you have like small line work up on the roof here, around the windows. You have the door handle, the door lock. Here's where you can fill in your gas. All of that works well. The turn signals are sculpted in, which I think is really cool. Some nice molded detail on the front bumper and the license plate here. These are transparent parts. These will be painted as well. Some details on the headlights. Very nice realistic rims. They will be painted as mentioned. I think that in a silver, so that will look great. I think in the end we have Makina Labs imprint molded into the side of the wheels here, which looks great. So overall, I think they did a knockout job with this vehicle. There's only one thing that that bothers me a little bit, but I think I've come to terms with it because we get an awesome transformation in return, and it's these small pieces here because there's this gap. I think if this wouldn't be a white vehicle, if this would be like dark blue, you actually wouldn't notice that much, but since there's a stark contrast here, but what you're gonna do? I think they pretty much nailed it here because the gap is barely visible here, and this thing is also toleranced well. So this one is finished. The other side is not. This one is still a bit loose. They will tweak this, and there's also this gap is bigger than here. So in comparison, this will be fixed for sure in the final product. So no worries here. And the other thing that I think that should be fixed is the doors. Like this door doesn't close 100%, but it's a nitpick for sure. But I think this should close a little bit better, and especially on this side, this thing just opens too easily. Because there's like a little pin here, but this doesn't really lock in. I hope that they will fix this, but I'm pretty sure that they will. But otherwise, I think this is a great vehicle. And one thing I forgot to mention: the wheels are soft plastic. Like I don't think it's really rubber, but it's a softer plastic, and it rolls absolutely fine on this. Showing you the details of the interior isn't easy because it is all black plastic. But with a little flashlight here, maybe you can see all of the molded details. Yeah, that is a gear shift, lots of buttons, some screens up here which will have stickers in the end, nice detail on the steering wheel. All of that looks very, very good. We have even little texture on the seat. I don't know if I can get that lit up properly. There you go. And we have like the pedals in the below the steering wheel for the driver and all of that. So very, very nicely molded interior. Is just hard to show. I think this will pop a little more with stickers and everything inside, and this works very well. The seatbelt is the same system as we got with the Red Gull Wing. So we have like this rubber thingy here, and you can again move the seat forward to have a little easier access to it. There you go. And then there's this little hole where you can put this in. It's a little harder to access this as it was with the Gull Wing, because we don't have the winged doors here. We have the standard doors, and Ace already told me that on the next vehicle these will open even wider so that you can have a much more easy access to it. But overall, I think the interior is very, very well done. There is one issue with the set, and it's the fact that she cannot touch the steering wheel. The reason for that is that the legs are so long and they push against the pedals here that you can't push the seat forward enough so that you can actually reach the steering wheel. This is an oversight on this on the part of Ramen. They already admitted, because they were so busy fixing all of the functions and making this thing work properly, which it does. We will see this in a minute. They just didn't keep this in mind. It's not the biggest deal in the world. You can work around it. Actually, you have two things that you can do. First of all, you can try to angle up her legs a bit more. This would be much easier without a camera in front of me and with a pair of tweezers, by the way. So that way you can try to push the seat forward a bit more. So now she's already closer to the steering wheel. And the second thing that you can do, you can actually pull out the steering wheel a bit. You have to be careful because this is only pushed in and you have to wiggle it a little. And if you push it too far, you will pull it out. There you go. Ah, too far? Oh, I saved it. Whew, I saved it. So it's better. It's still not 100%, but I think it's okay as a workaround. And when you close the door, it doesn't look wrong. So I think for display purposes and everything, this is fine. It's not optimal for sure, but I think it's forgivable at this point. And yeah, I think they are aware of this, and I don't think this will happen again. And again, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but it's something worth mentioning. To give you an impression on scale, here we have the Great White with Red Gull Wing, and this is a more bulky vehicle, so it seems to be bigger, but if you compare this, it's basically the same size. So I like this very much, and I think this will be a good fit. But I think a lot of people will put this in their vintage collection because this vehicle never came out in the vintage line. So there you have it with the original M.A.S.K Thunderhawk. And as with the Red Gull Wing, this one is a bit smaller because it has this weird proportions. So it's a bit shorter, but it doesn't look wrong, not completely wrong. And even in the vintage line, there were bigger vehicles like this guy here. This is Stinger. And they are pretty much the same size, same length. Bit longer maybe, but overall I think this is a pretty good fit. And what I wanted to show you also is the scale of the figure. This is the Portia White figure, and here we have the original Gloria Baker. She's a bit shorter, but overall I think this should be a good fit for a vintage line, and I think the proportions on the new figure are much better, especially when you put on the helmet. I always loved this helmet, but it's always seemed a bit too big for her body. So if you put the helmet on the Portia White here, I think proportion-wise, this is the much better solution. Transforming the Great White consists of several steps, and we will start with the front wheel. This is a pretty nice armature here. There's a spring-loaded slider here. You can slide this out and push it down. And then there's an additional hinge here in this yellow piece where you can see the pin. And there you can fold up the tire, and the spring in here will just pull it back onto the vehicle so that it sits nice and tight. There's this little flap here. You open this up, and there's a yellow wing hidden beneath it. You pull this out. This is very well toleranced, by the way. Fold this down, and you're done. On this side, we repeat the same thing here. Pull it out, push it down, and fold it in. Pretty easy stuff. Fold this up, pull out the wing, and you're done in the front. We have the wings in the rear. These are pulled out by hand, one by another. Just rotate it out. You can see there's a little hook here. This will fix it in the final position, but to get there, you have to push this out a little bit, and you can see that the hook sinks in the little gap here. And then this is fine as well. Same on the other side. And then this is tight. Then we have the periscope on the roof. You just push on the lever here, and this will activate this thing here. It's spring-loaded. Close the flap back down, and then you can pull out the periscope a little bit for some extra length. And all that is left to do now is activate the actual function with the button on the underside here. This will activate the turbines in the back and the wings on the hood. So you don't want to hold it here because you would block the wings. You don't want to hold it here because you would block the turbines. What you want to do is hold it with 2 fingers on the doors and put in the third finger on the button and just gently pull. And then you have everything intact. These spring out, these come out here. And there's just one last step you want to do, and is turning around the rims here, because there are actual turbines sitting in here, which is a pretty nice feature. They didn't need to do that, but I love that they did. And these are very tight when you turn them around, but it's not a big deal. I think this is what you have to do, because if it would be much looser, or any looser, they would don't hold their position. So I'm very fine with this. And then this actually turns like a real turbine. So pretty neat stuff. And then there's just one last step. And this was a bit of a controversial discussion, because they had to find some sort of compromise. But I think what they did here is pretty ingenious. You have these 2 yellow pieces here. Just push them forward a little bit, and then you can push them out to the side. And these belong onto here. You just, this little small little opening on the back side of the fin. Just push it forward to get this out here. Come on. There you go. And then you have the other side. And this is something that is needed to get the cartoon design, which was the fins going onto the windshield. And you can't hide such a long piece inside here. Maybe there would be a way if it wasn't for these wings. But yeah, this is pretty much what you have to do. Just pull them in, or push them in tightly. There you go. And then you have this look, which I think is pretty neat. The gap is barely visible. So I think it's a good compromise. And of course you can just keep these off, you know. I have the feeling that these are like, there's a left and right to this. Like, because now you have, it's a little bit crooked here, you see? Just slightly. But if I reverse this, 1 and 2, these are pretty much straight. So maybe there's a left and right to this. So if you have the feeling that this is crooked, just maybe swap the pieces out, and you should be good. And there we have it. It's completely transformed Great White, and I think it's pretty amazing. It's super screen accurate. Everything is stable, like nothing is flopping around. All you can hear is now is this mechanism that still is a bit moving, of course, because it is spring loaded as well. But it's a very well made transformation, very classic. With some manual steps, something activated via the buttons, and everything holds up pretty much perfectly, so I'm very happy with this. Transforming it back is basically the same steps in reverse, but we will do it anyway. First of all, we take off the parts forming pieces, and just, there's a small little gap here where you can push in this yellow pin and just clip it in, and they're very secure, they don't fall off or anything, so that's a pretty good way to store that stuff. There you go. Then you have the rims. We need to turn these back around. By the way, if you think that the silver pin here is very visible, I don't think that. I mean, I don't think that this will be an issue as soon as the rims are painted. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, but yeah, just worth mentioning. And then there's this pretty clever series of hinges here. You have to be careful. You don't just push it in here, because you can see this bumps into the wheelhouse. You have to, there's an hinge here and an additional hinge here. You have to activate both so that these come in nice and tight. And the yellow piece here actually locks onto this molded detail here in the turbine, which I think is pretty clever stuff. So all you have to do is just push this down, push this in on the outer hinge, and then you need to make sure that the fin actually goes in there, and then it locks on completely without any issue. This is what you mean. Just make sure that this goes below there, so you don't put any stress on the plastic. Then you have the rear wings. They just fold up. You push them back in and push them down in this little these little slides here. No problem. holds up very well. You have the periscope, you open up this, push the periscope back down, fold it in, close the flap. You can push these down, and then you open up the side flaps here, push in the wings on both sides, and all you have to do now is make sure that these are in all the way, and then you just bring down the wheel, and via the spring they basically pull themselves in automatically. Just make sure that this is all the way down. If this is somehow crooked, this might not go in all the way, or the wheel gets stuck. Just fold it down or completely push everything together, and there you have it back in its standard vehicle form. So much for my first impressions on the test shot of the Great White by Ramen Toy. Thanks again to Ace for letting me have this and letting me take a look at this. Very, very cool. And I think this is promising. I think the materials are great. All the functions are working properly. The small stuff that I found is all of that Ramen Toy is aware of, and they're working on it. So I expect all of this to be fixed on the final product. And yeah, no, I can wait to get mine. Again, this is meant to come out in late April, early May. So fingers crossed that this will actually work out. And yeah, until then, I can't wait for this. I think this will close a lot of gaps in M.A.S.K collections worldwide, which is a very cool thing. And if you don't have a hookup for the Great White already, especially when you're in Europe, consider us at the Collector's Bay. We still have a few pieces left. I will put the link into the video description. And until then, I will go back to my YouTube retirement now. I will come back with another, and I think also with another English review for this thing as soon as it comes out. Until then, I will have my coffee and enjoy my retirement. So thank you very much for watching, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.